Oh my gosh. Okay, I have not gone live, so this is amazing. Anyways, obviously, we're going to continue with the Bible. This is so much better than me pre-recording and then uploading and all that stuff. So now I can just go live and read the Bible. All right. So let's today we're going to be going over 1 Samuel 22, 23, 24, and 25. Okay, let's see. So we're on. Okay, here we go. 1 Samuel 22. Okay, today's reading will include the David gathering followers in the cave of Adullam, Saul ordering the killing of the priest of Nob, David sparing Saul's life, the death of Samuel, Abigail's wisdom, and intervention with David. So that's going to be pretty intense. So let's go ahead and get started, okay? 1 Samuel chapter 22, David's 400 men. And by the way, just go ahead and grab your Bibles. I'm reading from the New King James Version. And that's just what I'm going to read for the rest of the year, the whole Bible. And then maybe we'll go on to another version. So let's go ahead and get started. 1 Samuel chapter 22. Therefore, David departed from there and escaped to the cave of Adullam. So when his brothers and all his father's house heard it, they went down there to him. And everyone who was in distress, everyone who was in debt, and everyone who was discontented gathered to him. So he became captain over them, and there were about 400 men with them. Then David went there from Mizpah of Moab and said to the king of Moab, "Please let my father and mother come here with you till I know what God will do for me." So he brought them before the king of Moab, and they dwelt with him all the time that David was in the stronghold. Now the prophet Gad said to David, "Do not stay in the stronghold, depart and go to the land of Judah." So David departed and went into the forest of Hereth. Oh gosh, it's going to get intense. Verse 6. When Saul heard that David and the men were with him and had been discovered, now Saul was staying with Gibeah under the tamarisk tree of in Ramon, with his spear in his hand and all his servants standing about him. Then Saul said to his servants who stood about him, "Hear now, you Benjamites, will the son of Jesse give every one of you fields and vineyards and make you all captains of thousands and captains of hundreds? All of you have conspired against me, and there is no one who reveals to me that my son has made a covenant with the son of Jesse, and there is not one of you who is sorry for me, or reveals to me that my son has stirred up my servant against me to lie in wait, and it is this day." that's that's stressful. Then answered Doeg the Edomite, who was set over the servants of Saul, and said, "I saw the son of Jesse go to Nob, to Ahimelech, the son of Ahitub. And he inquired of the Lord for him, gave him provisions, and gave him the sword of Goliath the Philistine." So the king sent to call Ahimelech, the priest, the son of Ahitub, and all his father's house, and the priests who were in Nob. And they all came to the king, and Saul said, "Hear now, son of Ahitub." He answered, "Here I am, my lord." Then Saul said to him, "Why have you conspired against me, you and that son of Jesse, in that you have given him bread and a sword, and have inquired of God for him, that he should rise up against me to lie in wait, as it is this day?" So Ahimelech answered the king and said, "And who among all your servants is as faithful as David, who is the king's son in law, who goes at your bidding and is honorable in your house? Did I then begin to inquire of God for him? Far be it from me. Let not the king impute anything to his servant or to any of the house of my father, for your servant knew nothing of all of this, little or much." And the king said, "Ooh, You shall surely die, Ahimelech, you and all your father's house. Then the king said to the guards who stood about him, Turn and kill the priests of the Lord. Therefore, their hands also is with David. And because they knew that he fled and did not tell it to me, but the servants of the king would not lift their hands and strike the priests of the Lord. Jeez. And the king said to Doeg, You turn and kill the priest. So Doeg the Edomite turned and struck the priest and killed on that day 85 men who wore a linen ephod. Ugh, gosh, it's kind of distressing, you guys. It makes me like, ugh, like corrupt societies just give me the ick. Also, it's not even the ick, it's more like my heart drops to the ground. Also, Nob, the city of priests, he struck with the edge of the sword both men and women, children and nursing infants, oxen and donkeys and sheep with the edge of the sword. Now, one of the sons of Ahimelech, the son of Ahitub, named Abiathar, escaped and fled after David. And Abiathar told David that Saul had killed the Lord's priest. So David said to Abiathar, I knew that day when Doeg the Edomite was there that he would surely tell Saul, I have caused the death of all the persons of your father's house. Stay with me and do not fear, for he who seeks my life seeks your life, but with me you shall be safe. Oof. Let's go, David. Okay, 1 Samuel chapter 23. Then they told David, saying, Look, the Philistines are fighting against Keilah, and they are robbing the threshing floors. Therefore David inquired of the Lord, saying, Shall I go and attack these Philistines? And the Lord said to David, Go and attack the Philistines and save Keilah. But David's men said to him, Look, we are afraid here in Judah. How much more then if we go to Keilah against the armies of the Philistines? Then David inquired of the Lord once again, and the Lord answered and said, Arise, go down to Keilah, for I will deliver the Philistines into your hands. And David and his men went to Keilah and fought with the Philistines, struck them with a mighty blow, took away their livestock. So David saved the inhabitants of Keilah. Now it happened when Abiathar, the son of Ahimelech, fled to David at Keilah, that he went down with an ephod in his hand. And Saul was told that David had gone to Keilah. So Saul said, God has delivered him into my hand, for he has shut himself in by entering a town that has gates and bars. Then Saul called the people together for war to go down to Keilah to besiege David and his men. When David knew that Saul plotted evil against him, and he said to Abiathar the priest, Bring the ephod here. Then David said, O Lord God of Israel, your servant has certainly heard that Saul seeks to come to Keilah to destroy the city for my sake. Will the men of Keilah deliver me into his hand? Will Saul come down as your servant has heard? O Lord God of Israel, I pray, tell your servant. And the Lord said, He will come down. Then David said, Well, will the men of Keilah deliver me and the men into the hand of Saul? And the Lord said, They will deliver you. Oof. Ugh. Stomach drops again. Imagine being told, like, hey, by the way, you're going to be delivered to your enemies. Oof. Makes me nervous. So David and his men, about 600, arose and departed Keilah and went wherever they could go. Then it was told Saul that David had escaped from Keilah, so he halted the expedition. Verse 14, where David's in the wilderness strongholds. And David stayed in the strongholds in the wilderness and remained in the mountains of the wilderness of Ziph. Saul sought him every day, but God did not deliver him into his hand. Okay. So David saw that Saul had came out to seek for his life, and David was in the wilderness of Ziph in a forest. Then Jonathan, Saul's son, arose and went to David in the woods and strengthened his hand in God. And he said to him, Do not fear, for the hand of Saul my father shall not find you, and you shall be the king over Israel, and I shall be next to you. Even my father Saul knows it. So the two of them made a covenant before the Lord, and David stayed in the woods, and Jonathan went to his own house. Then Ziphites came up to Saul and Gibeah, saying, Is David not hiding with us in the strongholds in the woods in the hill of Hachimelech, which is the south of Jeshimon? Now, therefore, O king, come down according to all the desire of your soul to come down, and our part shall be deliver him into the king's hand. And Saul said, Blessed are you of the Lord, who has compassion on me. Please go and find out for sure and see the place where his hideout is, and who has seen him there. For I am told he is very crafty. Hmm. Anyways, verse 23. So therefore, and take knowledge of all the lurking places where he hides, and come back to me with certainty, that I will go to you. And it shall be, if he has in his land, that I will search for him throughout the clans of Judah. So they arose and went to Ziph before Saul. But David and his men were in the wilderness of Maon, and the plain on the south of Jeshimon. When Saul and his men went to seek him, they told David. Therefore, he went down to the rock and stayed in the wilderness of Maon. And when Saul heard that, he pursued David in the wilderness of Maon. They're just playing cat and mouse here. Like, this is wild. It's kind of funny. Then Saul went on the side of the mountain, and David and his men on the other side of the mountain. So David made haste to get away from Saul, for Saul and his men were encircling David and his men to take out. But a messenger came to Saul saying, Hurry and come, for the Philistines have invaded the land. Therefore Saul returned from pursuing David and went against the Philistines. So they called the place of the rock of escape. Then David went up from there and dwelt in the strongholds of En Gedi. Well, ooh, this is a good one. 1 Samuel chapter 24. So it's kind of crazy how Saul was just like that kind of anger really drives people to really like get somebody, like his jealousy and his anger towards David. It's like they're playing cat and mouse, and it's like David kept escaping. So this next chapter is actually kind of my favorite in a weird way of how David could have easily done some damage. Okay. So 1 Samuel chapter 24. Here goes. Now it happened when Saul. Sorry, I need the light. Right there. Okay, itchy eyes. Okay, sorry guys. Okay. Now it happened when Saul had returned from following the Philistines, that was told to him, saying, Take note, David is in the wilderness of En Gedi. Then Saul took 3,000 chosen men from all of Israel and went to seek David and his men on the rocks of the wild goats. So he came to the sheepfolds by the road where there was a cave, and Saul went in and attended it to his needs. David and his men were staying in recesses of cave. Then the men of David said to him, This is a day of which the Lord had said to you, Behold, I will deliver your enemy into your hand, that you may do to him as it seems good to you. And David arose and secretly cut off a corner of Saul's robe. Y'all, did y'all just hear this? And David arose and secretly cut off the corner of Saul's robe. That's how close he was. Because this right here. If somebody was this close right here to cut this off without me knowing, they could have killed me. They could have killed me. Could have killed me. Whew. Now it happened after that David's heart troubled him because he had cut Saul's robe. Oh, God. And then now we have guilt. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Because it's almost like, dang, I had, I have, I have a lot of power in my hands. Was that right for me to show it? I don't know. Let's keep reading. And he said to his men, "The Lord forbid that I should do this thing to my master." Oh my gosh. That's so good. The Lord's anointed, to stretch out my hand against him, seeing he is the anointed of the Lord. Just so much respect. So David restrained his servants with these against words and did not allow them to rise against Saul. And Saul got up from the cave and went on his way. David also arose afterward, went out of the cave, and called out to Saul, saying, "My lord the king." And when Saul looked behind him, David stooped with his face to the earth and bowed down. And David said to Saul, "Why do you listen to the words of men who say, 'Indeed, David seeks your harm'? Look, this day your eyes have seen that the Lord delivered you today into my hand in the cave, and someone urged me to kill you. But my eye spared you, and I said, 'I will not stretch out my hand against my Lord, for he is the Lord's anointed.' Moreover, my father, see, you see the corner of your robe in my hand? For in that I cut off the corner of the robe and did not kill you. Know and see that there is neither evil nor rebellion in my hand, and I have not sinned against you. Yet you hunt my life to take it. Now the Lord judge between you and me, and let the Lord avenge me on you. But my hand shall not be against you. As the proverb of the ancients say, wickedness proceeds from the wicked, but my hand shall not be against you. After whom has the king of Israel come out? Whom do you pursue? A dead dog, a flea? Therefore, let the Lord be judge, and judge between you and me, and see and plead my case, and deliver me out of your hand. So it was when David had finished speaking to these words to Saul that Saul said, "Is this your voice, my son David?" And Saul lifted up his voice and wept. Then he said to David, "You are more righteous than I." Oh gosh, this is just like so much like a lot of emotion going on right now. I'm also like, pretty emotional myself in a weird way. Then he said to David, "You are more righteous than I, for you have rewarded me with good, whereas I have rewarded you with evil. And you have shown this day how you have dealt well with me. For when the Lord delivered me into your hand, you did not kill me. For if a man finds his enemy, will he let him get away safely? Therefore, may the Lord reward you with good for what you have done to me this day. And now I have indeed that you shall surely be king, and the kingdom of Israel shall be established in your hand. Therefore, swear now to me by the Lord that you will not cut off my descendants after me, and that you will not destroy my name from my father's house." So David swore to Saul, and Saul went home. But David and his men went up to the stronghold. Chapter 25. Oh my goodness. Are we still? Hold on one second. How long have I been? Oh, nice. I've been on live for 18 minutes now. Okay, last chapter. Usually it's not this long, but kind of feel more comfortable doing live because it's already just uploaded. Anyways, chapter 25, the death of Samuel. Then Samuel died, and the Israelites gathered and lamented for him and buried him at his home in Ramah. And David arose and went down to the wilderness of Paran. David and the wife of Nabal. Now there was a man in Maon whose business was in Carmel, and the man was very rich. He had 3,000 sheep and 2,000 goats, and 1,000 goats, and he was shearing his sheep in Carmel. And the name of the man was Nabal, and the name of his wife was Abigail, and she was a woman of good understanding and a beautiful appearance. But the man was harsh and evil in his doings, and he was the house of Caleb. When David heard in the wilderness that Nabal was shearing his sheep, David sent 10 young men. And David said to the young men, "Go up to Carmel, go to Nabal, and greet him in my name. And thus he shall say to him who lives in prosperity, 'Peace be to you, peace be to your house, and peace be to you what you have.' Now I've heard that you have shearers, and your shepherds were with us, and we did not hurt them, nor was there anything missing from them while they were in Carmel. Ask your young men, and they will tell you. Therefore, let my young men find favor in your eyes, for we have come on a feast day. Please give whatever comes to your hand to your servants and to your son David. So when David's young men came, they spoke to Nabal according to all these words in the name of David and waited. Then Nabal answered David's servants and said, "Who is David and who is the son of Jesse? There are many servants nowadays away each who break each one from his master." That's interesting. Okay. Shall I then take my bread and my water and my meat and that I have killed for my shears and give it to the men when I do not know where they are coming from? So David's young men turned on their heels and went back, and they came and told him all these words. Then David said to the men, "Every man gird his sword." So every man girded his own sword, and David girded his sword. And about 400 men went with David, and 200 stayed with the supplies. Now, one of the young men told Abigail, Nabal's wife, saying, "Look, David sent messengers from the wilderness to greet our master, and he reviled them. But the men were very good to us, and we were not hurt, nor did we miss anything as long as we accomplished them. Then we were in the fields. They were a wall to us both by night and day, all the time when we were keeping them." Oh, wow. So the men were actually protecting Nabal's like money because it was like, sheep, goats, and all that stuff. And he was just so mean to them. They were on the wall. They were a wall to us both by night and day. All the time we were with them, keeping the sheep. Now, therefore, now, no one consider that you will do, for harm is determined against our master and against all his household, for he is such a scoundrel that one cannot speak to him. Then Abigail made haste and took 200 loaves of bread, 2 skins of wine, 5 sheep already dressed, 5 seahs of roasted grain, 100 clusters of raisin, and 200 cakes of figs, and loaded them on the donkeys. And she said to your servants, "Go on before me. See, I am coming after you." But he did not tell her husband Nabal. So it was as she rode on the donkey that she went down under cover over the hill, and there were David and his men coming down to get toward her, and she met them. Now David had said to them, "Surely in vain I have protected all of that." Oh. And she said to the servant, "Go on before me. See, I'm coming after you." But she did not tell her husband. So she's basically going to deliver some food and not telling her husband. She rode a donkey, went over the hill, and there she was, David and the men coming down toward her. Now David said, "Surely in vain I have protected all this fellow has in the wilderness, so that nothing was missed of all that belongs to him, and he has repaid me evil for good. May God do so, and more so, to all the enemies of David, if I leave one male of all who belong to him by morning light." Now, when Abigail saw David, she dismounted quickly from the donkey, fell on her face before David, bowed before the ground. So she fell at his feet and said, "On me, my Lord, on me let this iniquity be. And please let your maidservant speak in your ears and hear the words of your maidservant. Please let not my Lord regard this scoundrel Nabal, for as his name is, so is he. Nabal is his name, and folly is with him. But I, your maidservant, did not see the young men of my Lord whom you sent. Now therefore, my Lord, and the Lord lives as your soul lives, since the Lord has held you back from coming to bloodshed and from avenging yourself with your own hand. Now then, let your enemies and those who seek harm for my Lord be as Nabal. And now this present which your maidservant has brought to my Lord, let it be given to the young men who follow my Lord. Please forgive the trespass of your maidservant, for the Lord will certainly make for my Lord an enduring house, because my Lord fights the battles of the Lord, and evil is not found in you throughout your days. Yet a man has risen to pursue you and seek your life, but the life of my Lord be bound to the bundle of the living with the Lord your God, and the lives of your enemies he shall sling out, as from the pocket of a sling. And it shall come to pass when the Lord has done for my Lord according to all the good that he has spoken concerning you and has appointed you ruler over Israel, that this will be no grief to you, nor of offense of heart to my Lord, either that you have shed blood without cause, or that my Lord has avenged himself. But when the Lord has dwelt well with my Lord, then remember your maidservant. Ooh, she gave us speech. Then David said to Abigail, Blessed is the Lord God of Israel who sent you on this day to meet me. And blessed is your advice, and blessed are you because you have kept this day from coming to bloodshed and from avenging myself with my own hand. For indeed, as the Lord of God of Israel lives, who has kept me back from hurting you, unless you had hurried back to meet me, surely by morning, light no males would have been left to Nabal. So David received from her hand what she had brought for him and said to her, Go up in peace to your house. See, I have heeded your voice and respected your persons. Now Abigail went to Nabal, and there he was holding a feast in his house, and like the feast of a king. And Nabal's heart was merry within him, for he was very drunk. Therefore she told him nothing, little or much, until morning light. So it was in the morning, when the wine had gone from Nabal, and his wife had told him these things, that his heart died within him and became like stone. Then it happened about after 10 days that the Lord struck Nabal, and he died. So when David heard that Nabal was dead, he said, Blessed be the Lord who has pleaded the cause of my reproach for the hand of Nabal, and has kept his servant from evil. The Lord was returned the wickedness of Nabal on his own head. And David sent and proposed to Abigail and took her as his wife. Whoa. When the servants of David came to Abigail at Carmel, they spoke to her, saying, David sent us to you to ask you to become his wife. Then she arose, bowed her face to the earth, and said, Here is your maidservant, a servant to wash the feet of the servants of the Lord. So Abigail rose in haste, rode on the donkey, attended by 5 of her maidens, and she followed the messengers of David and became his wife. David also took Ahinoam of Jezreel, and so both of them were his wives. So Saul had given Michal, his daughter, David's wife, to Palti, the son of Laish, who was from Galim. And that is the end of chapter 25. And we will just keep doing lives next time. By the way, if you notice, there's no backdrop here because doing some changes here, okay? But it's going to come up pretty soon. All right. Oh, I had one viewer. How do I see this? Oh my goodness. Anyways, I will talk to you guys later. Thank you.